Hello beautiful people, welcome back to my channel. So I've got another Indian look, and this time it's for the wonderful celebration of Diwali. So I've gone a little bit glittery, a little bit glamorous. Yeah, I felt like because it's Diwali, glitter was really appropriate, and this glitter that I'm using looks like lights that the colors that you see in fireworks. Yeah, I've gone really deep, guys. But yeah, I just thought this glitter was so beautiful. I was inspired by it, and yeah, I just wanted to put it on. Diwali's the perfect time for it. Why not? Of course, you can totally wear this look for an Indian wedding, any kind of celebration that you want, because it's so bold and beautiful. It's very appropriate for any kind of celebration. If you're not a fan of glitter, it's all good. You can just go ahead and do the rest of the eye makeup without the glitter, and it's still gonna look beautiful with all the other colors. But yeah, I really hope you enjoy watching this tutorial. Please keep up with me, guys, on Snapchat, Instagram, and Twitter. Everything will be linked down below for you. But yeah, for now, I hope you enjoy this tutorial, and I hope you all have a wonderful Diwali. Okay, so first things first, I'm starting off with my face, and I'm using my primer from Smashbox, and it's the Photo Finish Primer, and I'm just applying this all over my face, as you can see, just rubbing it in. This is just going to help keep any oils at bay and help your makeup last. And then I'm using my Kevyn Essential Skin Enhancer in the shade SX09, and this is just to correct any kind of discoloration around my skin and any scarring. And then for foundation, I'm mixing my L'Oreal True Matte with the EX1 Invisiwear Foundation, and I love these two mixed together. And I really like to stipple my foundation on, and that way it gets like the most coverage out of it, so you get a fuller coverage rather than buffing it into the skin. Then for concealer, just on the eyes, I've got my Tarte Shape Tape Concealer, which I love using as a base for eyeshadows. So this is just going on the lids and then just underneath the eyes, so that I can complete the eyes all in one go. So yeah, I'm just blending that out, and this is just going to get rid of any discoloration, give us a really nice surface to work on, and yeah, it's going to dry matte too. I also did set it with some translucent powder. Then I'm using the Huda Beauty Desert Dust palette, and I'm taking this really nice like orangey brownie shade, and I'm buffing this into the crease and then taking it quite high up. This is going to be our transitional colour, so yeah, I'm just building this up with small amounts and then blending it. That's how I always like to work my colours. That way it's just easier to work with rather than going in with too much shadow. Then I'm going in with a slightly more reddy tone from the same palette, and I'm working this on the outer corner of the eye and then taking it a little bit deeper into the crease. And like I did before, just taking small amounts, then building and blending it up. And I really like to wedge my brush right into the crease and take it back in windscreen wiper motions, and then really work it onto the outer corner. We're just building up some depth with this look and some really nice beautiful tones. Then I'm going into my other Huda Beauty palette, so the Rose Gold edition, and I'm taking the shade Man Eater, which is a slightly more reddy shade. I just felt like it needed brightening up slightly more. So I'm taking this just over the top of the shadow that we already put on, so just on the outer corner and then through the crease. And you can buff and blend this up a little bit higher, but not as high as the first transitional shade. Then taking the same palette, I'm using the shade Bossy, which is more of a deep burgundy tone, and then again I'm just working that over the same area, so outer corner and through the crease. We're just building up kind of reddy burgundy tones. Then I've got my Tarte Shape Tape Concealer again in the shade Medium, and I'm just using this with a flat concealer brush, and I'm going to cut the crease. I'm doing more like a half cut crease, and I really like to lay the brush flat against my eye and take it in small small pressing motions, if that makes sense, and then work it around my crease, so the brush gets wedged right in, and it just makes it so much easier to do. And then as you get to the outer corner of the eye, we don't want to go as far out because we've done all of that building up and blending on the outer corner. So yeah, I just want to kind of feather the shade. Then going back into the Huda Beauty Desert Dust palette, I'm taking the shade Twilight, which is a really gorgeous duochrome purpley blue shade. Yeah, and then I am just working that in between the outer corner shade and the center of the eye, so it's going to be a bit of a transition between the outer corner and then the rest of the eye, if that makes sense. And then I'm going in with the shade Celestial, and I'm taking this on the inner third of the eye. So I like to imagine the eye as thirds. So there's the outer corner, the center, and then the inner third. So now we're just going to work this shade on the inner third, and I really like to pack the shadow on, make sure it's blended out into the other shades so that there's no funky lines. Everything just like looks smooth between all of the shades. And then I'm going in with this Litt Cosmetics glitter, which is the star of the show, and this is in the shade Abba. I love this. Also, bear in mind, the size of the glitter is so important. I really like to use size 3 glitters just because I feel like they make a bit more of an impact. But yeah, I'm just patting this on only onto the inner third of the eye, just so that the shadow underneath looks really nice and bright and popping. And then I'm just going over that kind of like middle shade with a bit more of the purple eyeshadow from the Desert Dust palette, because I just wanted the purple to pop a little bit more. And then I'm going back into the Rose Gold palette. I'm taking the shade Black Truffle, so any black eyeshadow will do. And I'm just working this now onto the outer corner of the eye. I just wanted to build up a little bit more depth and add a bit more drama to the look, because you know I'm all about that, guys. So yeah, I'm just working that on the outer corner, and then on a small like crease brush, I'm just going to blend this out. I always like to make sure everything looks like smooth and like well transitioned between each other, if that makes sense. And then I'm working the same shade along the lower lash line. Don't be scared to go ham with it, go a bit heavy. We really want this to be bold and bright, and then just soften it up by blending it a little bit more and making sure the outer corner and the lower lash line are connected. And then for gel liner, I've got my Inglot Gel Liner in the shade 77, which is just a black gel liner. I also used the Inglot Duraline. Basically what that is that if your gel liner or any kind of cream product dries up, basically that's just going to make it a lot easier and like creamier to work with. So that's why. I'm also just like taking this liner only to the outer corner of the eye. We're not creating a wing with this, which is why I'm packing on a little bit more black eyeshadow, just so that it gives the effect of a lift to the eye, but without having to do a wing. So if you're someone that doesn't like doing wing liner, this is going to be perfect for you. Then I've got a black Kohl liner. This is Feline by MAC, and you can take any black liner you want. And I am just taking this on the lower lash line, so just over where we applied the black eyeshadow. I'm also just going to take this on the inner waterline, again just to add more drama to the look. We just want this lower lash line to look really dark and smoky, and yeah, give that extra effect. And then I'm just going to kind of like blend that liner on the lower lash line so it doesn't look too harsh and it meshes in with the eyeshadow that we already applied earlier. For mascara, I've got my Tarteist Lash Paint by Tarte, and I'm just applying a couple of coats of this onto top and bottom lashes. So I just like to apply one coat, move on to the other eye, and by the time I go back to the other eye, that coat is dry. So I'll go in with this second coat, and that way it gets like more like fuller and dramatic lashes. Then for falsies, I've got some Velour lashes. I will leave the name of them down below in the description box along with everything else. I think they're rich and fluffy, but I'll leave the right one down below. Then I've got the Iconic London Pigment Stick, and again I'll leave the shade of it down below, and I'm going to cream contour just because I wanted the contour to be super dramatic, which I don't normally do, but yeah, I find that when you do cream and powder, it's like wham bam, I've arrived. So yeah, I'm just taking it in the hollows of my cheeks, on my temples, on my jawline, and I'm also taking it down the sides of my nose. And yeah, I always get really nervous doing it on my nose because I'm like, oh my god, what if I get like a proper muddy nose? But yeah, it's all about the blending. So I'm taking the Iconic London blending brush to do this also, and what I like to do is I kind of like to just stipple and push, if that makes sense. So I'm not like buffing and moving the product around, so it doesn't get messy. I still want it to be where I've put it, which is why I stipple, because it blends it out but without moving the product all over the place. And then yeah, I'm just blending out my jawline also, and then down the sides of my nose. I did find it a lot easier to go in with the brush and then go in with a beauty blender after, just to pick up any excess product, and yeah, it was just a lot neater that way. Then for concealer to highlight, I've got my LA Girl Pro Concealer in the shade Pure Beige. This is really nice and full coverage, which you guys know I love, and I really like the shade of this. I haven't used this in a while, so I fell in love with it again. So this is just going underneath the eyes, on my forehead, also just on my cupid's bow, on my chin, and also down the bridge of my nose. I also like to apply a little bit of concealer just at the tip of my nose, almost like a little ball, and that way it makes it look more turned up and pointy. I'm also using my Maybelline Eraser Eye Concealer just over the top of the areas where I've already highlighted, and that's just because I like these two concealers mixed together. I really like the shade of them together and the consistency. So yeah, and then I'm just going to blend it all out. And when I'm blending out the concealer underneath my eye, I just want to be really careful not to ruin that lower lash line work that we've already done. So I'm using just a smaller brush to take it higher up. And then as I've been using cream products so far, I'm going to continue doing so. So I'm going to cream highlight as I did cream contour. And I'm using the Huda Beauty 3D highlighter palette in the shade Gold Sand. I just had to record that about 3 times because my tongue was getting so tired. But yeah, I'm just again stippling this onto the high point of my face, and then I'm also just going to take it on the Cupid's bow, chin, down the nose, basically anywhere where you would normally highlight. I'm just going to add a bit of cream highlighter there to ensure everything pops later on. And now we're going to move on to powders. So I've got the RCMA translucent powder. Yes guys, I'm using a new translucent powder. I'm going to let you know how I'm getting on with this, but so far I do like it. So I'm just patting this onto underneath my eyes, and I'm also just taking it down the sides of my nose because that helps just make it look a little bit slimmer. And yeah, and this is just going to set all our makeup in place. I'm just taking this on my forehead, under the eyes, just a little bit down the nose, anywhere where I might get oily and shiny. Once I've patted that on, I dust it off straight away because I don't like the powder sitting on my face for too long, because I don't like it to look too cakey. Then I've got this Buxom bronzer in the shade Tahiti, and I'm only applying a small amount of this just anywhere where we've already cream contoured, just to kind of set it in place a little bit and to add a bit of healthy glow. And then to further contour, because I just feel like you need a bit of powder contour, I'm using the Rodial Instaglam contouring powder, and again I'm only taking a small amount of this over the areas where we've already contoured. And then I'm going to powder highlight using the same highlighter in the Huda Beauty palette. God damn, this is getting confusing. But yeah, so I'm using the shade Seychelles, and I'm just taking this over the top of the areas where we've already cream highlighted. Just on my nose, I do like to use my finger a little bit, just because I feel like the pigment comes off a lot better. Moving on to blusher, I'm taking this classic blusher by MAC, and this is in the shade Melba. It's so pretty, and it's one that really does suit a lot of people. I'm just brushing this onto the apples of my cheeks and taking it back towards my contour. And then for the lips, as always, I like a little bit of a combination lip. I've got the MAC lip liner in the shade Plum, and I'm just lining my lips with this. And when I line my top lip, I like to start from the outer corner and then work my way up. It just helps the lip look a little bit fuller. For liquid lipstick, I've got Anastasia Beverly Hills in the shade Pure Hollywood, which is a really nice pinky nude, and I'm just applying this all over my lips. And then just to bring the definition back, because I've got a warmer skin tone, I'm just going back over with my Plum lip line to kind of redefine. And then for gloss, I've got MAC Ample Pink, which I used to love and I haven't used in ages, but it's absolutely gorgeous, and it's a little bit plumping also. But this is the finished look, guys. I really hope you like it. Give it a big thumbs up if you do, comment down below, subscribe, and thanks for watching. Mwah. Bye.